Our state has some incredible problems. My name is Lynn, Hinderaker. I'm here to talk about that with you and talk about the trends that have shaped this state and dragged us in one direction or another. We're not really we're not realizing the dream we had way back in the early 2000s or even around 2008 or 9 or 10. My name is Lynn Hinderaker. Welcome to WowBiz Nebraska. We're going to get it on right now. Lynn, WowBiz Nebraska, what's going on over there? What are you doing this particular week? People tell me that all the time. And I always feel like I've got to bring something unique to the party. In this particular show, I'm going to produce a little game, and it's going to be my own game. And it will be helpful, though. I have to tell you that. And before we get into that, and then in the back half of the show, same deal. That will be focusing on business innovation and some of the new ideas that are emerging in our economy here in Nebraska. So we'll be answering questions that are fairly common, and it'll be exciting. You'll be able to learn a lot in a short period of time. But I just want to start out with a personal anecdote, and this is very psychological, very philosophical, so it's a long ways away from what we'll be doing as I start to stick my hand in these boxes and pull out some questions and try to answer them for you as well. But anyway, so the other day, I felt like I needed to take a bath at the end of the day. And so I filled my bathtub really hot. I mean, it was really hot, and I wanted to do that. So it got really full and really hot water. And so I stepped into the very hot tub, and the water was just almost scalding. It was incredible. So I went, this is what I said. There was nobody in the house at the time. I said, "Ow!" Right? I said, "Ow!" Right? And then I kind of settled into the water here. I thought, well, should I jump out or should I try to endure this? And I did endure it. And just maybe 30 seconds later, I kind of got used to this incredible heat. And then it was really comforting. It was really nice, and felt really relaxed. I said, this is a fantastic bath. And I said out loud, "Wow, wow," right? So it was ow, and then it was wow. Now, and that's the next one. So I'm sitting there for a little bit, and I'm relaxing and listening to a little bit of music there in the bathroom area. And it occurred to me that my consciousness, my focus was on this particular moment. The moment felt, I don't want to say sacred, that would be a little bit too far, but it felt important and almost profound, like it was just perfect. Because prior to jumping in the tub and enduring this hot water, I was nervous, I was anxious, I was thinking about the past. Oh, I did that. And then I'm thinking about the future, and I was anxious about that. I didn't have my day completely planned, so I was worried. What if this happens? What if that happens? So I'm overthinking, see? And I'm sure you can relate to this. So then it was all about now, this one moment, now, which happened to rhyme with ow and wow. And then here we are at now. Yeah. Wow. Really a cool moment, a great moment, a hot moment, whatever you want to say, but it was really a relevant moment. And I just want to say this so that you can realize that life is not completely worrying about your past, which we dwell on all the time, and that creates fear for the future oftentimes, or anxiety for the future, as I said, trying to anticipate what's going to happen. I don't know. What about this? What about that? And it's just an incredible moment when you can just enjoy the moment as it exists right now. I would just encourage you to kind of absorb what I'm saying right there and be a little bit more present. That somebody would call that mindful, being mindful. Yeah, it's a very common phrase, but it was just a great example, and the rhyming was coincidental, of course, but nevertheless, it kind of worked out, and it reminded me of just a calmness for maybe it lasted maybe the next half hour or so, give or take. And then I started to get caught up in my anxiety and thinking about the future. And of course, then it was right back to where I started. But there was a great moment there that was very meaningful. Now, we will change now, right? Now we'll change the pace here. A lot of times I will have casual conversation with people about their business. Sometimes it's theoretical, sometimes it's really truly hands-on. And they discuss with me and they'll ask me questions. And they'll say whatever, and I'm gonna actually try to replicate this experience right now. And I have their questions, or actually the answers to those questions, I should say, in this box. I'm going to reach in there and in a very random way pull out a little piece of paper here. And so here comes the first one right now, and then I will try to reflect upon and make some elaborations upon this particular thing. Now, here's what we're going to lead into with this game. Let's pretend that somebody is saying, hey, Lynn, you know, business just isn't what it should be. I don't know what to think. You know, it just, things aren't just going as well as they're supposed to be, and I'm really discouraged. Let's just pretend that I just heard that comment. So I just picked up a so-called answer to that problem, and I'm going to try to read it real quick right now. The key steps at this point are to trim costs. All right, trim costs, increase communications within the company. That's a very interesting thing. A lot of people don't do that. They don't think about doing that. They kind of keep it to themselves when things aren't going well. And let people hear what we're working on, what's happening around the company, what we want to leverage. Now, I would like you to just stop and think about this for just a minute. The word leverage. When 2 plus 2 equals 5, then you've got leverage, right? So when you're talking to people about what's happening and how you plant the idea and what's going to happen, you've got to think carefully about making leverage, not just reporting your anxiety. And what management thinks about where we're heading. Walk around talking to employees about their careers. This is when things are not going so great. You walk around the office talking to people about their careers several years down the road. This is very interesting also. Think into the future. How are you going to be doing things? What's it going to be like? What are you hoping to become? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Give them concrete metrics for where we want to head, and that will enable them to focus and to strive. Isn't that helpful? Isn't that cool? Those are 4 or 5 great suggestions. All right, let's do it again. Lynn, the business I'm just burnt out on it, and it's not going well. I did this, I tried to do that. People are not cooperating. What can you do for us, Lynn? How can you help us out? All right, we'll get an answer here in this box. Okay, here's a great answer. Mind your existing customer base. Right? Go right back to your existing customers. The best opportunity is in your current base. We know you've heard this before, but have you really done it? I could tell you a lot of people that kind of skim over this and don't really dig inside and ask themselves, have I really done this? Now, here are 3 things to remember. 3 things. Number 1, 20% of your customers provide 80% of your margin. All right, well, what 20% are they? Can you identify them and so on? Number 2, 85% of your margin comes from only 4 products. Now this is a very interesting thing. Some people only have 1 product. Other people have 10 products and love it, love having a broad variety of products to sell. Others are like, 4 products? Oh my God, we only have 1, maybe 2, you know. And so this is very interesting, 4 products. And then finally, more than 50% of your customer base uses only 1 or 2 products. 1 or 2 products. So you got to think about, maybe you have 3 or 4 or 5, but you got to really be realistic and consider only 1 or 2 are the ones that most of the customers gravitate towards. All right, this is good stuff, huh? This is good nuts and bolts strategic planning, especially when you're kind of waffling around and not sure what to do next, and you've been disappointed, and you're starting to think there is no way out of this situation. That's what's going on. So, hey, Lynn, what do you think we should do under these circumstances? Well, according to this, steal ideas from leaders in your industry. Now, this is one of my favorite things because I like to keep track of all the different companies and what they're doing and what's working for them and so on. And then I find something and I try to apply it to my company or my clients. But anyway, cast a broad net. What a good phrase. A broad net for new concepts. And I have one, by the way. If we have time, we're going to talk about it. Use zoom out thinking. Love that phrase. Don't forget about that. Let's do zoom out thinking to identify trends, on the periphery. We're going to talk about trends at the back half of the show that could disrupt current demand, right? Or shape future demand. Now, this is so important. And when I talk to people about this, they say, trends, huh? Trends on the periphery. Well, why should we care about something that's happening over there, and kids are doing this, and old people are doing that, and competitors are doing this? And it's way out there. You know, it's way out in the periphery. I don't know. I don't think that's not that big of a deal, right? I hear this all the time. The idea is to get ahead of the curve, not react to it after it's been established and already changing your industry. Now, we've got one more, and we'll move into our promotional segment here, which I can't wait to share with you. This is an incredible new product introduction, but we'll get into that. Again, responding here to the question, Lynn, how do I get my company going? It seems like things are kind of lagging. I'm not sure if we're doing the right thing. I don't know what else there is to do, but it doesn't seem to be working that well. Help us out. Help us out. Give us some advice, right? And so here it is. This is the last one in this particular game with myself. Identify where you have three things: equity, leverage, and momentum. Equity, leverage, and momentum. These three words, I mean, if you got to come to work and you're looking around, you're trying, what should I be thinking about? What should I be talking about? These three words are the answer. Where do we have equity? Where do we own the market? Where are we over there really solid and we really got it and everybody knows that we've got it, and so on? Leverage, I've already mentioned this to you, 2 + 2 = 5. How come if we do this, it goes all the way out there? It's awesome feeling if you have leverage. And then, of course, we all know what momentum is. The three pressure points that provide a foundation for a turnaround strategy. Three pressure points. Now, how many times, I got to ask you this now, how many times have you had to turn around your company or some other company? And have you gone through the same steps, the same process? Did you just kind of flounder? Probably not that sure, huh? It happens, it's a difficult thing to go through a turnaround. Some people call it transformation. If you call it turnaround, then it has a competitive edge to it. If you call it transformation, that's not so much. It's focused on your own culture and your own sense of momentum. Very interesting stuff. By the way, towards the back half of the show here, we're going to do something similar, only we're going to try to challenge you to be relevant in the face of new trends. Trends all around, swirling all around us, change the customer, the culture, and we're going to challenge you to try to think of a headline or something that you could say that would be relevant in the context of that particular trend. That's right. Well, thanks for watching us right here on WowBiz Nebraska. I'm Lynn Hinderaker, and this has been a great initial show, very full of substantive content and lots of advice. I hope that you'll have the opportunity to watch this repeatedly perhaps on YouTube, and take some notes and apply them immediately to your existing company. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about a new technology that is way out in front in terms of communication. Now, think for a second. I'm going to step back. What is the toughest thing if you're a sales manager, salesperson, maybe a business owner or an entrepreneur? What is the single toughest thing? Getting clients, of course, right? You don't have a lot of leverage, so you've got to go after it every single day. We all know this. And it's hard, typically it's going to be about email. There are other things you can do, and, get out there in the field and chat with people, network, but typically emailing is kind of the ground gainer, almost, as they say in the football game. But it's tough, and everybody gets 100 emails a day, and they dismiss many of them rapidly. They ignore the rest. Very seldom do they actually say, oh, I've never heard of them before. That's an interesting subject line. I'm going to open up that email, and I probably will do something as a result. That's what you hope, right? But that may not happen. It's likely that it won't happen. However, ta-da! Something brand new has arrived on the grounds, and that is audio, an audio email. Just think about it for a second. It's not a podcast, by the way. It's not video. When you open up your email system, Gmail, whatever it is, and you click on a link that looks like the kind of link that you would utilize to send somebody to a website or something like that. But when you click on that link, you hear a person who is talking to you, probably in customized terms, but maybe not necessarily, but definitely they are talking to you. Think of it. You look around and say, somebody here on my email system is talking to me. It's really quite amazing. The name of this service or this technology is called Audio Click. One word, A-U-D-I-O, capital C-L-I-K. Audio Click is going to change the nature of sales prospecting, absolutely. Not only in Nebraska, but all over the United States of America for sure. This is a game changer, I'm telling you, because when you listen to somebody talking to you, there's emotion, there's nuance, they pause, you can get a sense of who they are and what they're all about. When you receive an email, of course, which is the typical thing to do, you're reading, right? You're reading the text, and it could be perfectly good, but there's no sense of, I want to say, emotion or nuance. Those two words keep coming up. Personality would be another one. But now here's the kicker, right? It's not just anybody, right? What I'm talking about here is an opportunity to have a professional voice. Somebody who actually is maybe a speaker, somebody who really knows how to write sales copy and then articulate it right through the internet, right over to you on your email system. Now you've got it all. You've got it all right there. There's nuance, there's excitement, there's a build, and the whole thing comes across in 60 seconds. 60 seconds, which actually is a fairly long time. You can get a lot communicated and received. So Audio Click, A-U-D-I-O-C-L-I-K, that's the new product, that's the new service. If you find it interesting, you should send an email to newbraska.com, N-E-W-B-R-A-S-K-A, newbraska.com, and ask them what is going on, what is Audio Click, and how do we jump on this horse's back and accelerate. And it pays off, obviously, in discussions and meetings with your prospects. Sales, double-digit growth, all of that because of Audio Click. That's right. Wow. I'm going to say it again. Wow. Absolutely. Right here in WowBiz, Nebraska. Thanks for listening here. And it's a very exciting sponsor with a brand new product there. But I do want to get back to the back end of our show now. We've got a little time together. You know, at the beginning of the show, we had a little game. I'm going to resume that. I'm going to do something similar as well. But before I do that, and before I jump into that, because that's going to be trend-oriented. So we all know that when a trend, and obviously we're experiencing rapid change in our society, so there's lots of interesting overlapping trends right now that many of us are not, that clear about, and where's that going to take us, and what should we do? How do we respond now? Should we be proactive or watch and see if anybody else in our industry is going to respond to that particular trend, and maybe we should respond to this trend? I'm getting that. That's how it is right now in many, many corporate offices. And how to respond, what to say. If you're in front of the president of some of these prospects, what would you say, all right? But before I jump into that and the relevance, your relevance in the face of trends, I do want to mention to you, I have a little calendar right here that was created and designed by the Chamber of Commerce here in the state of Nebraska. Brian Sloan and his great team, very smart people, and they have a lot of great research at their fingertips. I have in front of me 2022. Now these are their priorities. So it's obviously a couple of years back, but it is interesting to look back and see what are they working on, what progress has been made. And I just mentioned very, very quickly, one is partnerships in the manufacturing industry. When was the last time you formed a business partnership or a strategic alliance with somebody? Think about that. We're going to talk about how to do that in one of our next shows. Also, workforce. Everybody knows that workforce is critical. Scaling successful workforce programs. Now, I don't know exactly how many successful workforce programs we have. That's a big subject, and Nebraska has a Future Force system. That's a different topic, and we can get down that road. But even if you're doing well in one show, or in one company, how to scale it throughout the entire state with other companies, or maybe other companies with whom you have a partnership. That's something else. That's really very interesting. Then we have something else, customized workforce. Here's one: unify state branding. Now this is another thing. You know, we've heard about this good life concept for a long time, obviously. So the question is that really as relevant as we want it to be? Does that attract young professionals and so on? Very interesting idea there. A big challenge because you've got forward-thinking young professionals, and they want to hear one thing, and then we have traditionalists who are mostly focused on I don't want to say insularity, that's kind of a negative thing, but they kind of want to remain cozy in their neighborhood or in their community. They don't want their children to leave. They feel like it's a safe area, and right now things are scary, so we don't want these children to leave the community. So we have at least two, maybe three different kinds of people in the state of Nebraska, and they have different priorities and different things that they want to get done. So that's very interesting. And then finally, and I've mentioned this 1,000 times, innovation, the importance of it. You know, innovation is not easy to do. Yeah? 95% of all innovation projects fail. That's true. However, there is no better way to differentiate yourself and try to stand on top of the industry and separate yourself from the competitive pack than to innovate, right? Plus, there's nothing more important if you're trying to attract. We've been talking about workforce. You're trying to attract young workers. You have to have an innovative culture and an innovative and launching innovative products and services. So you can see this is a really interesting, tough situation that we are in, and it's pulling people in different directions. Some people say, that doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't want to talk about that. Other people say, this is the key factor for success. Yeah, that's where we're at in our state right here. All right, let's get back to this game situation right here. As I said before, we know that trends are super important. They always are, and they're particularly prominent right now. So let's find a trend, and then let's talk about how we could, or you could, adjust optimally to that trend. Okay, can we do that? All right, this will be good. This is a good exercise. I hope you're enjoying it. So here we go. These days, here's trend number one. These days, you're only human if you're falling apart. Americans say that things are worse now than at any time in the past 20 years. It's quite a statement. But that's nothing compared to what I'm going to tell you right now. Over 70% of the world, especially those between 18 and 40, are fearful of the future. 70% of us are fearful of the future. And over half of that group think that humanity is doomed. Think about it now. These are drastic comments. One example is artificial intelligence's exponentially accelerating computer power. AI is driving this anxiety about the future. Obviously, we're going to run out of time here with this game, but how would you, if you were the marketing organization and you were servicing or helping a client that took care of these people that were dealing with them, and they're nervous about customers not buying their products because of all this anxiety and fear, what would you say? What would be the headline? Huh? I'll tell you what I think my headline would be. I'd have a full-page ad, or maybe an interactive digital ad, and the very top of the ad would say, relax. Relax. That's what I would say. And people would say, well, what's he talking about? And then we get right into the sales copy and say, we believe things are going to turn out all right because we're as smart and we're going to be intelligent and make sure that AI doesn't ruin our world and our lives. Something to that effect. Call us with your thoughts. All right, so that's one idea. Let's do it again real quick now. Be faster. Here we go. Here's another trend. Many companies without business continuity plans in place lose the advantage of responding appropriately to unplanned changes. Instead of using their energy and resources to chart a go-forward strategy, we're talking about dealing with anxiety and turbulence and a lot of stuff. They run around frantically figuring out workarounds. They're trying to figure out how to get around something. This guy over here is scared, too scared to come to work. We'll do a workaround over here with her, right? And in the chaos, communication is often neglected. And we've seen that before. I actually was in the earthquake of 1989. That was a 7.2 in San Francisco. And so I know what it looks like to be in the midst of chaos. And the focus, of course, the continuity planning is all about resilience. That's the key word. You've got to focus on resilience and make sure you have a strategic plan when it all comes apart. All right, let's see here. Now remember, this is all about your relevance. Most of us get up in the day and they say, hey, everything's great. And when they find out and somebody looks at them and says, are you relevant? And is there resilience built into your system? They go, geez, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about that. So here we are wrapping up on WowBiz Nebraska. Here's a new trend. How would you respond? 30 to 40% of customers are trying new products or services because of lack of availability of the products or services that they normally buy. Supply side is still an issue. That's why we have some inflation in our economy. 12% of these shoppers will not switch back. That's not a good situation. So how do you build loyalty into the purchasing cycle with your core customer group? You got to figure out a way to remind them of who you are. Maybe give them some extra benefits, create extra value somehow. Maybe give them 2-for-1s. You'll see this in the grocery store industry, by the way, right now. And they're trying to build in resilience there and make sure that shoppers don't opt out. And then this is the final trend here. The nature of employment is in the midst of seismic reinvention. It's entirely possible that decades from now, many people won't work a 9-to-5 job. This requires a new mindset and a new level of psychological and financial resilience. Here's that word resilience again. And if you went through the pandemic, as most of us did, you probably realize that work is going to be different going forward. Employees are working entirely from home, and yet at the same time, we have people like Google and Apple insisting that all employees get into the office, and I mean tomorrow, either that or leave, and we'll replace you. So it's a very exciting time that we have here in our economy. My name is Lynn Hinderaker. This is WowBiz Nebraska, and I want to thank you for watching this show. We went all across the board, and I really appreciate you sticking with us. I know this is going to be good for you and your career, your organization. Got lots of good ideas here, and I look forward to chatting with you going down the road again. We'll see you next time here on WowBiz Nebraska.